Cenat has quit streaming. And about just an hour ago, he posted a YouTube video titled, I Quit. Now in the video, he says that he's going to quit doubting himself. Pretty vague, but the video gives us a lot of clues as to why Cenat will be quitting streaming very soon. When you really look deeper into the video, there's things that begin to poke their head, like the future of Cenat's career, why he's trying to perfect this clothing brand to the extent that he's doing it, and his mental state through it all.
A lot of self-doubt. I'm not even depressed. I'm not sad. It's just for some reason I'm having like a lot of self-doubt because it's out of fear of stepping back from what I'm primarily known for.
And if you ask me, I feel like this next chapter of Cenat is going to be one of the best chapters yet. But let's take a step back and explain how we got to this point. Cenat probably had one of the oddest last couple of months, but right before everything seems to spiral, Cenat had one of his greatest moments thus far, which was his Mafia-thon, where he stayed on stream for a month straight in order to get 1 million subs, which is like diabolical. It's unheard of. And who knows how much money this man raked in. Now, one thing is abundantly clear. Cenat is a workaholic. He is an example of when you give the right person the right chance. And for the last couple of years, Cenat has had his foot on the gas the whole time. And the truth of the matter is, one of the reasons that Cenat was probably pushing himself so hard is for the pure fact that he didn't grow up with this money. Why take your foot off the gas when you have all the momentum? And there's almost no reason to do so unless it's for the sake of your mental. And I am a very strong advocate of, I ain't feeling bad for no millionaires. You got life fucked up. But on the same token, no one can be infinitely happy. You know, billionaires sometimes get sad. Billionaires probably are sad a lot of the times. Whenever it comes to something like money, you spend your whole life wanting it, and then once you get it, you realize it doesn't make you happy, and you may become sadder than what you were before because now you have the thing that you thought was supposed to make you happy and you still not happy. So it takes a very strong mental in order to get past that and continue to grind to the extent that Cenat did. And honestly, Cenat might have been putting on an act for a very long time and none of us knew. At one point on TikTok, I was getting 100 million views a month, going dummy, going live every single night, me and my best friend. And I'm not gonna lie, it's soul sucking at the end of the day because you're putting on a super happy persona. You may still be being yourself, but you amplify yourself in order to entertain other people. So I'm sure there's plenty of days where Cenat, he's on stream laughing, smiling, ha ha ha, all funny, all fun jokes. Soon as that stream goes off, he's probably... And there's a good possibility that's probably most nights. Now, is it better than a 9 to 5? I would say so. But it's definitely not easy. And a lot of people wouldn't be able to actually do it. And Cenat has done it for years and years and years. Whenever you look at people that are his peers, they don't bring the same energy that Cenat brings every stream. And because of that, it's probably a lot more draining for him. On the flip side, because of this, he's able to get so much more traction compared to other people that are a lot more mellow. Now, let's fast forward to the last couple of months. Cenat has one of his highest moments as of yet. Right? Probably reached a crazy milestone that he probably almost didn't think was possible. And after reaching that goal, he just disappears. Now, he disappears so that he can travel, you know, just live life after a 30-day stream. And if you put yourself in the mind of Cenat for a moment, you've probably made a generational amount of money. And at this point in time, you don't necessarily have the same incentive to continue to stream and continue to sell your life force for the entertainment of others. And if I had to guess, Cenat felt that piece of not having to do that, and it just hit different for him to the extent that it may have pushed him into his whole depressive era, because he knows that the only way for him to continue to make this money and continue to feed his family and, you know, build an empire, he needs to sell his life force for it. And I'm not gonna lie, that would push me into a depressive state also. But also, you're a millionaire. Now, one of Cenat's first times back in the light was at the Streamer Awards. Streamer Awards did not go good for Kai Cenat. You know, he won a lot of awards, but mentally, it probably wasn't the best of things. He probably just came back from a vacation, you know, trying to relax himself and knowing that eventually he's going to have to continue to stream and do all these things so that he can continue his momentum, which honestly sucks because he doesn't have to. Kai Cenat can stop streaming today and probably live the rest of his life perfectly fine. However, based off of everything we know about Kai Cenat thus far, his streaming, the way he pushes himself so hard to make the biggest and best streams, continues to show up nearly every day and amplify himself for thousands and thousands of people, shows that Kai Cenat isn't the type of person to just leave money on the table just for the sake of leaving money on the table, or leaving success on the table, you know, especially when this is something that you weren't born with. You weren't born rich, so you understand the value of money. So it's probably so difficult for him to just leave it all on the table. So the Streamer Awards happens, and everything from there just continues to spiral. A woman that, you know, cracked a joke about him, which he didn't really like, but Kai Cenat being Kai Cenat, he just let it go.
And the least educational university. So congratulations to you. Oh, and also congrats on your new documentary with 50 Cent. That was you, right?
He has one of his friends that decides, I'm gonna sacrifice myself for Pakistan.
If you all gonna be on the mic, now turn this mic, now turn this shit on, turn this shit on. If you all gonna be on the mic making jokes, at least let it be funny. If you all gonna be on the mic making jokes, at least let it be funny.
I thought it was.
Have a good night.
And then another one of his friends goes to the bathroom and is screaming and talking shit about this girl, and someone comes out and exposes him for saying all these crazy things about her. Now, was it all true? I don't know. You know, Des says that, you know, there was a language barrier because he's from New York, but neither here nor there. It's just more stress thrown on Kai Cenat because everything that the people that he brung up does points right back at him. Anything that happens with Des, Rakai, Tylil, everything points back to him. And a couple of days after Streamer Awards, Tylil has his accusations where a woman said that she was, you know, essayed by Tylil. Kai Cenat's friend, Tylil, accused of such and such. And it's almost like he can't get away from this. And if I had to give my opinion, I feel like Kai Cenat doesn't even really hang out with them probably as much as people would assume. And it's probably because Kai Cenat has matured so much over the last couple of years. It seems like Kai Cenat just wants to live a peaceful life because at this point, he's basically done it all. And this is where you can kind of understand how Kai Cenat can get to a place where he decides to quit streaming. Now, before you can just upright and quit streaming just because you don't feel like it anymore when you could be making millions and millions of dollars a year is very difficult. So where do you go from there? You have to find a way to continue to make money and continue to follow your dreams and, you know, fulfill yourself while not needing to sell your life force for it. Because when it comes down to streaming, this isn't something where Kai Cenat can turn on his stream and just put anybody in there and say, oh, go have fun. Kai Cenat needs to be there. Kai Cenat is the product. So he needed to find a way for him to no longer be the product. And based off of everything that I've seen from Kai Cenat thus far, this clothing brand that he is going to release is going to be his way out. Of course, he can still stream. Of course, he can do these things, but he doesn't need to sell himself to the extent that he has been doing for money. And now on top of all this, Kai Cenat even went through a public breakup. Kai Cenat is entering a new era in his life. When that happens, a lot of people get weeded out, whether it be them breaking up with him breaking up with them. It all really doesn't matter at that point. Now, Kai Cenat's video told us a lot of things. It told us that he's been working on this clothing brand for a while. It tells us that he's not just releasing merch. This is an actual clothing brand that he wants to be one of the greatest clothing brands, which makes me feel like a lot of this was premeditated. Kai Cenat was prepping everybody for the drop of his clothing brand. It does seem very performative. It does seem like he's trying to paint a picture for everyone so that he can make the biggest clothing brand drop possible. Now, is that bad? No, it just doesn't seem as organic as he's basically making it seem. I'm sure he has managers. His manager says, yo, go up there, talk about your mental health, and do this in order to paint that perfect picture. And honestly, it's working. The video showed me that Kai Cenat is serious about this clothing brand, and he will make a great clothing brand. And it's not only because Kai Cenat can hire the best designers and things of that nature. He's taking the extra step to understand making clothes just in general. He wants to actually understand it before he decides to put anything out. It seems like he very well wants to be a hands-on owner of this clothing brand. He's not just stamping his face on a clothing brand, which honestly is very respectable. Is it performative? I don't know. Did his manager say, hey, go do all this so we can make a great video so that you can put it out and people can be super hyped about the clothing brand? Probably, but he's still doing it. He still started another YouTube channel that he didn't really tell anybody about, and he's been posting on for a couple of months, I believe, at this point, and reading books and doing different things to better himself. It doesn't matter if the finished product was, cleaned up by a manager or a creative director and things of that nature. Kai Cenat, in the midst of all this, is actually trying to better himself. And for that, he gets the utmost respect from me. Now, do I feel like Kai Cenat is going to stop streaming forever starting tomorrow? No, I don't believe that that is the case. But I do believe Kai Cenat is taking steps in prepping to no longer have to stream anymore. And that doesn't mean that he won't stream. He just won't have to stream. And honestly, I'm happy for him. I hope his clothing brand comes out and is amazing. I hope it's not too expensive for the boy. But I do wish the best for his clothing brand, and I know he's putting his best foot forward in order to make it work. And when Kai Cenat is putting his best foot forward, he probably has the best people to also help him take the best foot forward. You know what I mean? For a minute, the blogs, everything has been saying Kai Cenat is spiraling, but it seems like he was just planning and prepping. And honestly, if he stops streaming, that's going to leave a lot more space for other people to start streaming. So, hey, it's a win-win for everybody, huh? But that's about everything that I have for you guys today. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And if nobody told you today, I love you. Peace.